YouTube, how's it going? The Goat House is back. In today's video, I'm going through every single NFL team. I'm giving you, in my opinion, their best undrafted free agent of 2020, and I need to be able to feel that that player can make the actual team. So a lot of teams have quite a few best undrafted free agents, but I'm taking the one that has the best shot to make the team. So we're going to go through every NFL team here in a second. Please subscribe to our channels. We got two of them. There's a link down below for that extra one, the Goat House Plus, and then you'll find a link for anything else you need. That Twitter is an absolute must follow, constantly talking NFL on there and answering any questions. Go in alphabetical order. Arizona Cardinals. Zane Lewis was one of my sleepers. You know, I kind of felt he was going to go undrafted, but I really liked him. So out of Air Force, a physical and athletic corner, good combination from Air Force. That Air Force defense was that's a lockdown defense. Very underrated. We saw what they did to Washington State in that bowl game. Very impressive defense. He's a very impressive corner. Has a shot to make the team as a backup corner here. I thought he was, their best one. Plus, a guy that has some upside, a guy that can make the team. Did get Reggie Floyd out of Virginia Tech too. I also like that pickup. That could be a safety turning linebacker, so we'll see there. That was definitely one that I considered. To the Falcons, honestly, the Falcons got a long list of undrafted free agents, but none that I honestly really like to make the team. I chose Bryson Young from Oregon because he played a little bit of linebacker, played a little bit of edge. I kind of get the feeling that he'll play edge, just based on his size, athletic ability, his length. I think he can be an edge rusher. So we'll see if the Falcons try to bring that upside out of him. He wasn't super productive, at it in Oregon. But yeah, he has all the measurables. He has the ability in him. You feel so. And the Falcons could use more pass rushers. So we'll see if they strictly make him a pass rusher, try to develop him. It's a possibility. So that was a guy I liked for the Falcons. Next up, we got the Ravens. We went Jacob Breeland. Maybe Tyler Huntley's the one that everyone's talking about. Maybe the best one overall because he was a pretty solid quarterback, accurate quarterback that can move from Utah. But, you got RG3, you got Trace McSorley. I like both those guys better. And then Jacob Breeland. We know how much the Ravens love their tight ends. They traded away Hayden Hurst. It was a good deal for them. They're going to have three tight ends make the team. And I think Breeland could be that third tight end. He was very productive for Oregon this year. He did get hurt, and Oregon really, really missed him. So I just realized we have two Oregon players back-to-back. Interesting. But Jacob Breeland was looking very solid, this year for the Ducks. So I think that's probably the third tight end for the Ravens, and I believe they're going to keep three. So there's a good shot he makes it. Next up, we got the Bills. We went Trey Adams. Yeah, the Bills didn't have a lot of undrafted free agents or that many that really stood out to me. Not that it's a bad thing. They're a pretty complete roster. But Trey Adams, yeah, when he was first coming into Washington, when he was first there, he's a top-tier blocker, looked like a future, maybe even first-round pick. He has the strength, just the injuries and the mainly lacking of the athletic ability we saw at the Combine, and the game has really changed even over the last 2-3 years. So I think he has a chance to make it because he blocks well. He's a strong offensive tackle, so has a chance to make it, probably one of their better ones. But it'd be tough to make that Bills roster. Panthers went OMAR BAYLESS from Arkansas State. Very productive year this year. Was a monster down the field. Big playability. I think could be a pretty solid red zone target as well. He really can go up and high point the ball. So, yeah, he's got that big playability. Has a chance to make the team. Maybe as receiver 4, perhaps, as a chance. We'll see, though. We know the Panthers drafted all defense, so some of these receiver guys are really, or some of these offensive guys, I should say, like OMAR BAYLESS, they're the top of the rookie class for the offense. So they have a decent shot here for this young, improving Panthers team. So OMAR BAYLESS definitely one to look out for. To the Bears, the Bears didn't have a big list or, that impressive a list for undrafted free agency. LEDARIUS MACK, who's actually Khalil Mack's brother, who actually hasn't been playing for that many years, so you think he would have the upside. Now he's going to go learn from a great defensive team, I guess, and Khalil Mack, his brother. So he has the upside. He definitely has the upside there. He just really doesn't have the length. Does he have the length to play the pass rush position? Do they want to move him inside? It's a strong possibility. So it's a guy with upside. Probably the one that stood out the most for the Bears group there. To the Bengals, Tyler Clark. Yeah, not too many that stood out for the Bengals either. Tyler Clark is a lengthy but mainly a run stopper. With that length, you wish you'd be able to have more of a pass rush ability from the inside. But he has the foundation. He has the run stopping ability, very, very solid one. Not much gets by Tyler Clark. So if he can develop the pass rush game, what I'm thinking, they lost Andrew Billings. Is Tyler Clark Andrew Billings? No, but he could be that kind of rotation run stopper, kind of the replacement there. So Tyler Clark from Georgia for the Bengals. The Browns, pretty obvious one, A.J. Green, who was a solid corner for Oklahoma State. I see by his body and what he's best at, kind of when the play's in front of him, and being physical, I like the upside at safety. I'm not saying that's what they're going to do with him, but I think he has a solid chance to make the team, as a backup corner or a safety. If he was that strong safety, I think he has a chance to play early on. So that's just my opinion, but I think he has really two opportunities there, in my opinion, based on what I said, to make the team, and he's a very talented defender. So I think he has a real good shot to make the team there, and the Browns wanted him badly. A lot of teams were fighting over him. They paid him a decent amount of money as an undrafted free agent. The Cowboys, AZUR KAMARA from Kansas. It's the athletic ability, just pure athleticism, has the upside. Dorrance Armstrong's there from Kansas. I like the upside of him as well. I think it's about his time to be a breakout guy. So KAMARA, they're going to bring him in, work with them, see if that athletic ability can kind of turn into more. So that's an upside guy there for the Cowboys. But a pretty good roster, pretty good draft, a lot of depth at that position. So that'd be pretty tough for him to make the team. But, yeah, again, it's a guy they're going to want to work with. The Broncos, saying BASSEY from Wake Forest, a pretty good corner. I want to move him in inside, though. I think he'll be a really good, outside he would either make that big play or, he'll get beat here and there. But move him inside of the slot. They have Bryce Callahan, who could be a pretty darn good slot. Injuries from his past could sneak up on him. They have that concern there. BASSEY could be that guy. That's a team that, most teams don't really carry two true slot corners. They'll have a backup corner that can also play slot. But I can see the Broncos kind of carrying two here, which, he has the ability to play outside as well. So, in that, the Broncos are a very complete team, but cornerback in general is kind of what they're thin on, in my opinion. Probably the only spot in their whole roster. So I think that'll be, there's a chance that he can make it. Detroit's a pretty obvious one. Hunter Bryant should have been drafted. I guess the reason why he wasn't, and I guess understandable, is that some last-second injury popped up on the report. Really not sure how that happens, especially when they weren't able. They didn't give these guys checkouts here. But this is a really talented tight end. Underrated too. Even though even where he would have been drafted wasn't for the injury, in my opinion, because it's a guy, you see this athletic ability. It's a receiver type tight end. You see the big playability downfield. So you kind of just put that on him that's all he is. But he's more than that to me. He plays in line. More than other more built tight ends in this draft class that played in line. Looking at a guy like Harrison Bryant. I think Hunter Bryant was much better as with his athletic ability as almost a receiver in the slot, but he was actually playing in line more than him too, an underrated blocker. Pair him with Hawkinson. Both guys that can play inline and play in the slot. Both guys with crazy athletic ability. Both guys with crazy run after catch ability. You can kind of swap them back and forth if they're on the field at the same time. One in line, one out. This is a very talented dude as long as he's healthy. It's a big-time pickup for the Lions right here. Big time. Packers got Stanford Samuels from Florida State. A little bit of a messy situation at Florida State. Florida State pretty much had to carry that secondary. But a very talented corner. Really improved this year. I thought the technique was there, the tape was there. It's really just the speed, and speed does matter. You look at the 40 at the combine was, 4.6s. It does matter. People get mad when people overreact about 40-yard dashes, but for corners, you look at the pass, which ones worked out, which ones didn't. The very fastest ones, it doesn't mean were the ones that worked out, but the ones that were on the slower end compared to the ones that were more athletic, you can see the difference there. So you don't need the very fastest guy. That's not what that means. But an impressive dude that improved. It has the technique. I think he has the physicality as well. The Packers do need cornerback depth as well. They have a really good starting duo, but they need cornerback depth pretty badly, so he has a shot. Texans went with Scottie PHILLIPS. Yeah, not the best group of undrafted free agents here for the Texans, so I think the best chance was Scottie PHILLIPS from Ole Miss. I was more impressed with his 2018. It seemed a little quicker, more speed, a little more elusive than this year. So maybe they can kind of get that back out of him, and then he's a very solid rotation back for the Texans. But we'll see. It could be tough to make the team. They did bring in David Johnson via that trade in the offseason. The Colts, Rodrigo Blankenship, they paid him pretty good amount for a undrafted kicker. He'll have to battle for that spot, but we know there's kind of open competition there for the Colts. Blankenship was a very solid kicker at Georgia, so has a realistic shot to make the team here for the Colts. The Jags being next, J.R. Reed, obvious one from Georgia. Very solid free safety. What he's lacking maybe is that crazy playmaking ability. Maybe he's not going to get a ton of interceptions, in the back end, of the defense. But I think a pretty instinctive one. Always flying to the ball, even though he maybe doesn't come up with the ball a lot. And then the Jaguars, they're okay at safety. It can get better. So he has a realistic shot to make the team, but possibly play early on as well. The Chiefs had a couple good ones. I like Javaris Davis from Auburn. And we know the Chiefs could use more corners. They didn't find really any unless they want to move Snead to outside. They didn't really find much from the draft besides Snead is what I'm trying to say. But Javaris Davis was a very solid, and we know he's very, very athletic corner from Auburn there. I like him in the slot, but, good to have that depth either way. And then we're moving on to the Chargers. Sneaky one here. ASMAR BILAL from Notre Dame, I like a lot, especially for that Gus Bradley defense. He was a former safety in Notre Dame a couple years ago, turned him into a linebacker, and I guess the first year turning linebacker, I think it was 2018. Yeah, a little sloppy here and there, but last year was very, very impressive. Freak athlete, always flying to the ball, very rangy, and we know he's good in coverage here. This is a sneaky pickup here for the Chargers. We kind of expected him not to get drafted, but I would actually liked for a team, like this to draft him even. So he has a shot to make the team, possibly be an outside linebacker for that defense there. So definitely one I'm keeping my eye on there. The Rams are next. Tristan Jackson, I thought a receiver worth getting drafted here. Smooth route runner, great hands, great after the catch. Was very productive as well. I think we're going to see a little more of the multi-receiver sets, four plus receiver sets from the Rams this year. I think that's kind of the route they're going to go. They're going to use both Akers and Henderson, whoever's in the pass game as well. They're going to throw the ball a lot this year. So having those extra receivers, and Tristan Jackson could be that 4 or that 5 receiver on their team, as a realistic opportunity here. If my prediction is right, they're going to really use more receiver sets. Raiders being next, not the most impressive undrafted list here, but Javin White from UNLV he's a pretty impressive dude. Played a lot of linebacker at UNLV, but he's one of those freaky linebackers. Freaky, athletic, rangy. Got the speed. He could be a linebacker still. I think he could be a defensive back. They kind of can turn him to a safety that plays in the box a little bit, kind of like a Tanner Muse, and I don't think they're too far off. They drafted Muse in the 3rd round, so similar abilities there can move them around. So that's a guy that stood out. For the Dolphins, a pretty obvious one, Benito Jones. I thought should have been drafted as a nose tackle. I thought he was better than some of the nose tackles that got drafted. The Dolphins could use an actual nose tackle as well, so I think he has a very good opportunity to make the team here and kind of be a rotation guy for that nose tackle position. The Ole Miss defensive tackle there. The Vikings, pretty clear one here. Quartney Davis, another guy we all felt that should have been drafted. Kind of today's slot receiver, a little bit of a build to him, but also can play outside. And the Vikings losing Diggs, they needed some receivers. They did draft 2, but I do like that their unit's coming together. But Davis, I think, could be part of that unit there. So it wouldn't completely shock me if by the end of this year, if he was their 3rd best receiver. Really, it sounds crazy, but who he's got to compete with was Osborne, who they drafted, and Bissy Johnson from last year was a 7th round pick. Possibly Chad Beebe, but Davis, got some big playability out of him, so that was a good pick out. The Patriots, J.J. Taylor, liked this one a lot. I know they have a number of running backs, but this guy's a Patriots guy here. A guy that can definitely make the team, can contribute running the ball and catching the ball out of the backfield. In a way, kind of reminds me of a Tariq Cohen, kind of the same size, same build to him. I think he's going to have a little more strength, a little less speed than a guy like Cohen. So I think it's a guy that they'll really like over there and had an opportunity to get drafted late. So definitely want to look out for there. The Saints had a number of pretty solid free agents. But Calvin Throckmorton, definitely from Oregon, definitely their better one. And I think even though their line's pretty much set and they even drafted a new guy in Cesar Ruiz, I think it's a safe bet to make the team just because it's a guy you really want to have because he played at a pretty high level, but mainly he's a guy over his career that played tackle, played guard, and even played some center. So it's a really good guy to have here for depth. If you got a tackle go down, you can throw him in. You got any other positions, you put him in. So if you have to, so I think it's a pretty good guy to have there. It's a good pickup. The Giants. Tough one. They grabbed a couple of the Ohio State receivers that could possibly make the team, possibly Benjamin Victor. But JAVON LEAKE I like. I thought he should have got drafted. A lot of upside. Hasn't played a position for a long time. The combination of size and athleticism for the running back position here is very key for him. I think it's impressive as a home run ability. I think could be a Saquon Barkley backup. I know they have Dion Lewis, but that's really not, a Saquon Barkley backup. It's your second running back and a guy you'll use in every game, maybe not a whole bunch. But I think having LEAKE is more of that Barkley backup. In case anything unfortunate happens, maybe. I think LEAKE is that true, Barkley backup is what I'm getting at. Similar build, I guess really not the same, but you get the point. It's not Saquon Barkley, but the similar style there. To the Jets, Lamar Jackson. They also got Bryce Huff was a possibility here because they could use more pass rushers. Lamar Jackson should have been drafted. Really good corner on the outside, and they definitely need more of the corners as well. So I think this guy not only can make the team, I think we can see him playing early on for the Jets. The Eagles, Michael Warren here. The Eagles got a couple solid free agent pickups as well, and maybe guys that were higher on your board, let's say like mine, than Michael Warren. But Michael Warren's a really powerful runner. For being a powerful runner, he had some home run plays too. And the Eagles didn't pick up a running back that we all thought they would to complement Miles Sanders, because you feel Sanders not gonna. He had a really good rookie year. He's a really good back. He's just not a full load type of guy. You need another back to kind of pair with him, more of that power back. And Michael Warren's that guy. I really think unless maybe they pick up a free agent still. I really think they're going to use him. And I kind of like this route, too, because you could be a little upset they didn't pick up, draft the running backs. They needed that duo. But that board in the third round, really fell to them. They let it happen. So they got some good players there. So, and you end up with a guy like Michael Warren undrafted. So it worked out pretty well. I think there's a guy definitely that could possibly be their number 2 running back. So that's pretty wild there. But it's another one that I can't wait to see what happens there. The Steelers, went with Calvin Taylor Jr. here from Kentucky. Came in as an offensive lineman. They switched him over to actually more of a pass rusher, and he was very productive. He was very, very productive. But the reason he didn't get drafted is because people really don't know where to put him. He's very awkward, because he's kind of got that offensive line build, but he's lost the weight too, got a little more athletic, a little more lean at the same time. But you see, very tall, big and heavy in some spots. It's kind of awkward. So you kind of want to get you kind of want to work with this guy, put him in the right spot. I kind of like him at 3-4 end in terms of the rotation for the Steelers. He's pretty productive there. Then the Seahawks, a pretty obvious one, Anthony Gordon. I think he's a good backup to Russell Wilson, has a chance to make the team there. And he was a fun one to watch. Making that crazy play when you least expect it. Scrambling, make the throw on the run. Some no-lookers at times. So that was definitely a good pickup. Expected him to get drafted. The 49ers, JaMycal Hasty. I like this a lot, too, because you trade Breida and then you just bring in Hasty, and it's just like it's almost like you didn't lose much. Breida has more big play, possibly. He's a more proven, I suppose. But Hasty, very underrated. Pretty powerful, low to the ground, running inside, better running outside, but also catches the ball very well, in the backfield and downfield even, and he has the big play after the catch. So Hasty's getting me, I know they got a long list of running backs, but they like that, and they don't know what's got for the future. You don't know if McKinnon's going to get hurt again. I hope he doesn't. I really want to see him, in the Shanahan offense. But Hasty would fit the offense very well too. So it could be part. Couldn't make the team because they love having the rotation guys, the options, but could also be mainly make the team they want to keep them from long term. So that's one I definitely like there. The Buccaneers, we got Parnell Motley from Oklahoma, another corner that definitely should have been drafted, a playmaker on the outside. Kind of view him as a kind of a feisty corner there. You kind of get the vibes from him that he could play in the slot and be a pretty damn good slot, but he's been good outside, so you don't really want to try to switch him around a little bit if something's working out for him. But my point is, I mean, you kind of get him in two spots here, in my opinion. You know, I think he'll make the team. I don't think he'll be playing early on because they have a really good young group. But you kind of add to it here, and you get a guy that gets kind of depth for the outside and the inside, in my opinion. Titans didn't have anybody that really stood out. Cameron Scarlett was pretty solid for Stanford, and they, you know, maybe they keep two backs, you know, with Derrick Henry. And they drafted Darrington Evans, but having kind of the in-between guy, the kind of, you know, Henry and Evans are just the complete opposites. You get Scarlett, that's kind of the in-between guy there. So maybe if you want to keep a third back, this could definitely be the option. And Derrick Henry, I guess nothing's guaranteed with him, you know, long-term yet either. So it's a possibility for them. And then we're on to the Redskins, and it's an obvious one, Thaddeus Moss. I think not only will make the team, I think by the end of the year, we're talking this is their best tight end in their team. Very confused. You know, Hunter Bryant had the injury. Very confused on Thaddeus Moss. You know, this is a guy with upside, just came to LSU, just had to pick up that offense. Instantly was great, had the big playability, had some crazy catches, had more and more better. You know, he seemed to be more of a factor as the year went on. First year going in there. It just tells me upside, the ability to be coached, the ability to improve, 0 drops on the whole year. And yeah, the big playability. You know, sometimes he had some really good corners just all over him, and he still makes some crazy catch. You know, good red zone threat, can block. You know, so I think this is a very solid option for the Redskins here, and it should be a solid option throughout the year for them, for Dwayne Haskins possibly. So these are my undrafted free agents for each team. A lot of these guys, you know, like I mentioned, should be able to make the team. So we did do a video. I ranked the top 15. So you take a look at my board. I took the best undrafted guys that were on my board, and, you know, based on where they were graded for me, so rank them from 15 to 1. That's a separate video for the undrafted free agents, so go check that out if you haven't seen it. We got all kinds of grades, rankings videos on the channel with, you know, they have to do with 2020 draft classes, of course. More videos on the way. You know, can't wait to keep going through these. We'll start in the near future to get onto the 2020 season predictions, all kinds of different ones. So really exciting stuff here. Please subscribe, follow us on Twitter. That's going to do it for this one. Thanks for watching. Goodbye.